Hey guys, it's me, Irene from Lit Nerds. So Megan and I forgot to tell you guys something in our last video. I know that was a while ago and we meant to make more, just the semester got ahead of us. I'm studying abroad in London this semester, so we thought maybe it'd be a fun idea to try to vlog a little bit, let you guys know how my time abroad's going. So I'll still be reading books, so maybe I'll make a few videos about those that I'm reading over here. But I thought for this first video, I'd just let you know how my travel experience went. So I get to the airport in Iowa to fly to Chicago to get on a flight to London, and then arrive in London in the wee hours of the morning and start my abroad experience, right? Well, we get to the airport in Iowa at, we got there at 1, and the flight was supposed to leave at 5:50, 6 o'clock, right? And then we had another flight, and then that flight was to go to Chicago, where we had another flight that was supposed to leave at 9 to go to London. And then we get in London, we have nice reservation at this beautiful hotel I'm currently at. I wish I was vlogging during the daylight because I have this gorgeous view from my window. I'll probably show it to you guys a little later. But for right now, let's focus on this flight. So we get there at 1. And yeah, that's really early, but you know, better early than running at the last minute trying to make your flight, right? So we get there, and we're sitting, and we look at the board, and the board all of a sudden goes from this flight to Chicago, leaving at 6, is now leaving at 8. So we're like, well, that's not really helpful, so let's go try to fix this. And so I should mention our first flight was supposed to leave at 8 to London, but because of this mix-up, they pushed us to a 9 o'clock flight, which, you know, would have been cutting it close getting to the next terminal, but we would still get to London on that night, right? Well, then our flight from Iowa to Chicago got delayed until 9:30. Now, as I said before, the second flight to go to London was to leave at 9. So we had a problem. And there was just no way to fix it at the Des Moines airport. We are exhausted, we are tired, we are stressed at this point because I'm traveling with my parents. And so we just give up. We're like, you know what, let's just get to Chicago and let's try to figure this out from Chicago, right? So we get to Chicago. The earliest flight they can put us on to get to London is at 4 p.m. I should mention, it is now 11 p.m., almost midnight, and we're finding out that we can't get on a flight to go to London until 4 p.m. the next day. So now we are stuck in Chicago. Now, the airline was really nice. They gave us vouchers for a hotel. They gave us food vouchers. They gave us little bags of toiletries that we could go to the hotel in Chicago and not smell terrible the next day. So we took the hotel vouchers and we went to the hotel. Gorgeous hotel, really nice hotel. I enjoyed it. You know, if it hadn't been midnight, 1 a.m., I might have vlogged from there. But it was midnight to 1 a.m. by the time, and I had to call my aunt to let her know that we had made it to Chicago safely, and I didn't get to call her till 2 a.m. So I was really glad I didn't vlog. But they had bathrobes. Like, it was the first hotel I've ever been in that I actually found one of those bathrobes, complimentary ones. I used it. So then we get to the airport in Chicago at 10:30, 11 a.m. to find our terminal to get to fly to London. Then we get there, and it's going great. We are there. The plane is on time. We're in the correct terminal. There is nothing going wrong. About an hour before our flight's supposed to get off, they move our terminal on us, which, you know, it happens. Can't be mad. So now I'm sitting there having to find a way to get my parents, who are currently in wheelchairs, because my mom has nerve damage and my dad fell and almost broke his leg, and so he's banged up and crippled. So I have to find a way to get both my parents, who are in wheelchairs, all our luggage, to this other terminal that's a ways away. Now, I can't ask my mom to walk that, because I can push one parent and a few bags at the same time. I can't push both. And my mom is the least banged up at this point. I know I said she had nerve damage, but she is the least banged up. And I can't ask her to walk that. So we go up front and tell the wonderful, wonderful people working at this desk our problem. Now, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So a few hours before our terminal got changed on us, we had been sitting there. I was getting ready to take a nap because we still had a few hours to go. There was a flight leaving to Hong Kong from that terminal, so we'd watched everyone from that board, and they had closed the doors. Boarding was closed, boarding was done. The plane was getting ready to take off. In comes this family who didn't make it in time for the boarding, and they're throwing a fit. They are ranting, they are raving, they are yelling, they're screaming. They're those kinds. They were being the kinds of people that if you're working customer service, you do not want to deal with. And it was making me uncomfortable, because in the process of their little temper tantrum they were having, my mom leans over to me and goes, "Now, Irene, when they're done, you need to go up and ask this question." And I'm like, great, yes, send me to talk to the people that are just getting yelled at, because they're going to want to be wonderfully nice to me. I know I haven't done anything wrong, but have you ever had that moment when someone yells at you, you really don't want to deal with anyone for the next few minutes after that? I do. I have that a lot. People yell at me, I'm just like, I'm not dealing with people for the next few minutes. Sorry. And here's my mom telling me to go talk to someone who's just been yelled at. So that was fun. So I went up and I was asking about if my dad could ride the wheelchair down into the terminal to get onto our plane. That was my question. And so I walked up and I'm like, my flight's London. I'm good. I don't need to be on this flight. I don't need to know any information about this Hong Kong flight. I just need to know this little bit about my dad. And they're like, yes, that'll work. But, we're going to have a shift change. We're going to leave after this flight leaves, and we'll have different people here to take care of the London group. So talk to them when they get here. And I'm like, okay, that's perfect. And I went and sat down, and I sat down for another hour. And that's when we figured out that, our terminal switched. So I went up and talked to those people again, since they were very nice, wonderful people. They did not, after just being yelled at by 3 different people in the same group at the same time, I'm so glad they were nice to me. And they called a little shuttle cart thing so that my parents could get on that, and then they drove me too, because airport people are really nice. And so we drove over to the next terminal, and we got out, we got into our little seating, we were good. And then we didn't have to move from that terminal, we just had to wait to get on our plane. So we had another hour or so wait at that terminal to make sure, the plane was fueled, it was good, it was ready for our group, everyone going to London. So we were right there, we were very calm, it was very nice. That wait was beautiful. And we got on the plane. And now I'm sitting a few rows away from my parents. And I have this really nice, awesome gentleman sitting next to me, and he's helping out the girl who doesn't know what's going on, because every once in a while I'd be like, I have no idea, and he did calmly explain it to me, and he was wonderful. He was really nice. Now I'm getting to the point in the story where I don't really like flying. I mean, it's great and all. Go you people. I have great respect for pilots and flight attendants and everyone because they are in a plane. That is their job. They are almost never not in a plane. It's a thing that I just have problems with. And I'm perfectly fine on like short flights. Well, the flight to London from Chicago is 8 hours. And I should also I get motion sick very easily. I try to calm myself down once it starts happening, but I get to a point where usually if I'm in a car, my dad has to pull over. So we're on this flight, and it's been going on. I think it was 3 hours more we had to be in the flight. And there was this gentleman a little ways ahead of me, and he was watching the flight on his little TV screen, because when you're this long a flight, they give you TVs so you can watch movies and listen to music and wonderfulness. And so he's watching our flight, and I see that we are right in the middle of the ocean. And I'm hitting the point where if I was in a car, I'd be asking someone to pull over so I could breathe. And I'm like, well, that can't happen on a plane. So I'm now stuck. So I went to the bathroom for a little bit and tried to breathe a little there. I trying to calm myself down, trying to do everything I can to like not have a panic claustrophobia attack, because my brain was also screaming, "You're in a flying death metal tube! You're going to die! You can just go and you'll die!" And that was not fun. With already having the motion sickness and then that. Needless to say, when I got back to my seat, I found the little puke bag that is in front of your seat, and I held on to that until we landed. About the time we were circling around London, I had calmed down enough to be perfectly fine, and then came landing, which I'm not thrilled with the landings either, but you know, at this point, I need to get off this flying death tube. And I had known I was studying abroad. I had known I was coming to London to live here for 5 months, to study, to hopefully intern in a theater, to do what I came here to do. And I look out this window, because I was in the middle of the plane, so I had to look over people. I look out this window, and I see the London Eye and the Tower Bridge. And that's when the thought, this is real. This isn't a made-up story in my head. This isn't, oh yes, this would be fun. This isn't a vacation. This is real. I'm going to be in London for 5 months. And it wasn't the panic of, oh crap, I'm screwed. No, it was I got this. This is real. I'm an adult. I got this. I can do it. And then we started landing, and I'm like, I'm gonna die, 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 I'm gonna die. And then we got parked, and it was a lot better because we got off the moving flying death tube and walked the airport, got through security, got most of our bags. You know the little mix-up with the flight from Des Moines and Chicago? Yeah. Our checked bags did not get put on our flight to London, which was leaving at 4 p.m. They got put on the flight that left Chicago at 6. So, yeah, we didn't have clothes. Well, we had clothes. I shouldn't say we didn't have clothes. We had the clothes that were in our checked bags, which for my parents were pants and shirts and things that, normal. We're going to be walking around a city. This is what we want to wear. What was in my carry-on bag? My fancy clothes. Dresses, heels. Stuff that I don't want to be walking in for long amounts of time. Like, yes, I'll wear them. Yes, I'll walk around in them. But for like a full, just non-stop walking, I don't want to be wearing heels for that. I'm not that graceful in heels. So, and this was already from having this layover in Chicago where I didn't have these clothes either. So I've been wearing this for what feels like 3 days. I probably should have changed before vlogging, but I was like, I'm just gonna talk. But yeah, so we got into this area where there were cabs. And yes, that is very expensive to get on a cab from the airport and drive to the heart of London where our hotel is. But you try taking people that can't really walk good on the underground. It wasn't going to be happening. So we got in the cab. And I drew the straw of sitting with my back to the driver, so I'm facing backwards so I can see London as it goes by. And my mom's like, if you see something interesting, point it out. I'm like, Mom, by the time I see it, you're not seeing it. And like I said, I get motion sick, so I was already having, like, coming down off being the motion sick in the plane to now being in a car, and we drove. It probably wasn't that long of a drive, but it felt like forever. And it was just, like, getting worse and worse, and I had to, like, lean over and look at the floor for a little bit. I was trying to breathe. I was playing with my wonderful airplane necklace that my friends gave me, and just trying to remind myself that, you know, we're almost there, we're good, you're not gonna die. The taxi would speed up and I'm like, we're gonna die. And I trust taxi drivers, I do. They know what they're doing, they know where they're going, they know this place better than I do. But when, you gotta remember, I'm from America. We drive on this side, the one side of the road, and in London and other places in the UK, you drive on the opposite side of the road from where I'm used to driving. So, and then when you speed up, it's just this constant fear of we're gonna die. But then we got to our hotel, we got checked in, we told them we were missing bags and that the airline was gonna send them to us, and it's like 6 a.m. London time, maybe 8 a.m. and we're tired. And I know it's a no-no to go to bed right after you get off a flight. You're supposed to do things and fight the jet lag. And I didn't sleep on that plane. I watched several movies. I watched The Martian. I watched Ant-Man. Oh, I love that movie. I watched an episode of NCIS. I watched part of Man from U.N.C.L.E. And I listened to some music because they have K-pop on airplanes now. Oh! Sorry, my little fangirl moment there. And so yeah, I didn't sleep because I can't sleep on flying death tubes apparently. And so we're like, okay, we're just gonna nap for an hour or so. So we did. We napped for a little bit, and then we got ready, and what that means. We grabbed our coats, and we put back on our shoes, and we walked. Part of what they wanted me to do when I got here was get one of those burner phone things that you pay for the month. You get X number of minutes, X number of texts, and I got the one you get unlimited data. At least I thought I got the one. So we walk, and we get finally to the shopping district. We're like, okay, there has to be a place to get a phone here. And like I said, my parents don't walk the best, and I'm walking with them because we didn't think, oh yes, let's get a taxi, because we didn't know where we were going. So we walk, and we walk, and we walk. And I think it's not that far. For someone like me who doesn't have very much problems walking, it wasn't that far of a walk. For my parents, it was. I think we had to walk 2 blocks to get to a bench where my parents could finally sit. And then from there, walk 2 more blocks to get onto this shopping street. And then we had to walk maybe a block and a half, finally get to another seat where they could sit while I went to go look for what I needed. And so we walked down the street. I got them seated, and I walked down a little bit more, and I found this bookstore. And you know, I know, funny, Irene finds a bookstore in London. Well, I walk in, and I'm looking at the books, and it was very interesting. like some of their books I would love to just read. And the reason I'm looking at books at this point is because the man's on the phone and I'm waiting for him to get off. And he gets off the phone and I go up to him like, hey, so I'm looking for a little phone that will work here. I will get a number, I'll have minutes, and it's kind of, in the States we call them track phones. That's what I was looking for. And he just looked at me and goes, you know, I'm kind of new to here too, so I have no idea where you can get that. And I went, okay. Well, I collected my parents and we walked down the street a little bit more to an intersection, and I see this technology store. I'm like, yeah, let's check that out. And I see they have a sign, phones, and I'm like, ah. So we go in and we get a phone. I have a really nice phone for here, and we get the minutes, the SIM card with the minutes, and we think we get it all set up. So we're good. And then we go to this pub that's on the same, we walked across the street, crossed into the little store, walked out of the store, and into the pub. And it was, the food there was amazing. Granted, I had eaten airplane food and nothing else, and my stomach was about ready to eat itself. But it was still so good. And we ate. We calmed down. I was still fighting the motion sickness thing, because after I spend that long, it takes a while for me to come down off of getting that level. And we finish eating, and now comes the task of walking back to the hotel. So we walk down the other street where the bookstore was. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to walk in and check out this bookstore for a little bit. Because my parents needed to sit, and, I walked in there to ask for directions. I thought, it might be nice to try to go buy something from them. So we walk into the bookstore. What I was looking for, I didn't find. So we walked back out. I got my parents to a bench. They sat there for a little bit, and the guy in the bookstore actually told me where another bookstore was. So I went to try to find that bookstore, and I didn't. But that took about 10 minutes of time. So I came back to my parents. I collected them. We walked down the street. We got to the first corner to start that 4-block walk back to our hotel, and my dad's ankle gives out. Keep in mind, he was using his stick anyway. And luckily when it gives out, there's this nice little fence thing that he can just grab onto and kind of just slump for a little bit. Now, he was also using me as extra support at this time. I had my arm out and he was holding on to it when his ankle gives out. So he's already using 2 support systems, and now his ankle's gone. And he's stubborn. And I will admit, I grew up in a small town. I don't know how to hail a taxi. So, now we have to walk back to the hotel with my dad already having a bad knee, and now his ankle's out, and my mom having her nerve damage. We did it. There's this nice little park in the 4-block place. We got to that park. We got sat on a bench. Sat there for a few minutes, letting my parents rest. Then we got up and we walked to the other side of that little park and sat on another bench for a little bit. Got rested up again. And then we got up and we walked to the hotel. When we got to the hotel, we got into our rooms, and my parents collapsed. And me, being the resourceful young person I am, got on YouTube and just started watching videos, calming myself down, because I couldn't sleep. If I slept again, I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. So it hits about 6 o'clock, and I'm like, you know what? Eating 1 meal a day is not really good for the human body. And we had been doing that this entire trip. So I woke my parents up, and I'm like, okay, here's what we gotta do. We gotta go get food. So we go downstairs. I'm not usually one to like salads. I ordered the salad, and it was wonderful. I would order it again in a heartbeat. And so we ate, and now we're here. Back to me deciding to vlog and tell you how my travel experience went. yes, it was stressful, it was exhausting. Like, if I had talked to you last night, there would have been a lot of frustration. You're just getting exhausted right now. But yeah, there's just this thought that hits you when you're watching your flight get delayed 4 hours, knowing you're going to miss your flight to London, knowing you're going to be stranded in Chicago, that you're just like, really? And like, I can't blame, it was no one's fault, really. It was just, it happened. And it happens all the time. You hear about how happening to other people and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, too bad, sucks to be you. When it happens to you, you're like, ah. So, yeah. But now I'm in London. I'm in this wonderful hotel room, which I have to myself, because it's small and tiny. But I have this beautiful view when the sun's up. And hopefully I will make you another video and I can show you this view. I have it posted on my Facebook for my friends that will hopefully watch this video and be like, hey, she's not dead, woot! Thank you so much for letting me rant at you for the last 27 minutes. And I hope your days goes well. I hope if you're traveling it goes well. I hope your studies for this term, semester, wherever you are, goes well. And thank you for letting me just explain my experience to you, and thank you. And if any of my friends or family are watching this, yes, we're alive, and I love you guys, and I will see you when I'm back in the States or in another vlog. Alright, bye guys.